What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another week of the Sports Degenerates podcast. If this is your first time listening to us, make sure to listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Spreaker. And also make sure to check out our social media. We are on Twitter at the Sports Degens and Instagram at Sports Degenerates Podcast. And finally, you guys can also watch us on YouTube. So make sure, no matter where you guys are listening to us, watching us, to follow us and also like this episode. And as always, you guys know us. I'm Tyler, Matt Holderman. We're just a couple of college students that we love talking about sports. We love watching sports. We love listening to sports. So we decided, what better thing to do than make a podcast about it? So here we are. Matt, how you doing this week?
Well, better than previous weeks, honestly. I actually won a bet this week, finally.
Yes, you did.
The Celtics pulled through, man. They pulled through. They won 3 out of the last 4 games, and I can take off the Robe of Shame, finally.
I am stuck wearing the Robe of Shame. Yep, the Red Sox, the Celtics kind of made a little bit of a turnaround after last week. You guys were listening. I was obliterating the Celtics. I was absolutely up the wall about how the Celtics were performing, and they had a good week. Like you said, they won 3 out of 4. I don't think the Wizards game was against the Wizards. I don't think that was the best game ever because they had a 10-point lead almost the whole game, and then they almost let it slip away in the final few minutes there. I think the most impressive win this whole week was 2 days ago against the Clippers, which was great. They won, I think it was 117 to 112, that's a good win. I mean, yeah, the Clippers were without Kawhi Leonard, but I'll take a win over the Clippers any day. They're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, any day. 3 in a row. That's pretty good. Pretty good for the Celtics. I think we were saying off air that was the first time in over a month that's happened, going on a win streak. So that's pretty good for the Celtics. And the big bright spot of it is Kemba, over that 3-game stretch, these 3 wins. I think he's averaging close to 30 points the past week. So, that's not bad.
You see, that's huge because like we were talking about last week, the big problem with this team was their depth. And because you couldn't rely on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to pretty much win you every game, because that's essentially what you're asking them to do, is win you every game. But I think a step in the right direction now is having Kemba be able to score, because you're looking back, I mean, a big reason why they're having those troubles is because Kemba wasn't able to score, and it was all Tatum and Brown. And now Kemba's scoring, and I think that's huge. So it takes a little bit of that pressure off Tatum and Brown. And that's super important. I mean, I'm still kind of down on him right now because of the way that he was performing, and I'm still a little tentative about him being a little older. He's not super old. I think he's 30, 31, something like that. And the little bit of injury history that worries me right now with the injuries. But I'm looking up on Kemba right now. I think he's looking good. I'm still wouldn't be opposed to trading him, because I mean, if he's playing well right now, this could be your best chance to trade him. Sell high.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, sell high. Exactly. I think you put it perfectly. Still, he could regress back to what he was before. He could have just had a good week. Mm-hmm. So he's certainly making a good selling point for himself right now. Teams maybe won't be looking at Danny Ainge as trying to get rid of what's the word? Damaged goods.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think like I was saying, I think right now is probably, if you do want to trade him, right now is probably the best time to do it, because he's looking good. He's starting to look like he's rounding back into form, and that's huge. I think if they don't trade him, I think either way it's a good sign, because you get the 3 of them going, Tatum, Brown, and Kemba. Your team's a lot better than they are. Obviously, this is stating the obvious, but your team's a lot better than with just Tatum and Brown. So I think having Kemba step up is huge. And right now, actually, you're even seeing some of these bench players performing. I mean, notably Robert Williams. Robert Williams has been playing great, and I still don't understand why he's not starting right now. Robert Williams is debatably the best center on this team. This dude is averaging something around like 6 blocks a game or something like that. He just had a 14-point night last night. Peyton Pritchard actually just had, I think, like 12 or 13 points as well to go with him. And that combination off the bench, the Pritchard-Williams combination, is almost deadly right now.
Yeah, they just got to keep it up, man. Consistency is key, that they're two big issues that we talked about last week. Kemba shooting 1 for 12 consistently. He fixed that up, and they're getting a little bit of bench production now, which is great. It's just those guys need to be able to do that on a constant basis at a championship level standard, game in and game out, because obviously, it's in the word, it's in the phrase, that's what's going to win you a championship, you know, championship level gameplay from the starters and the bench players.
Exactly. Um, and right now, like you were saying, championship level. Right now, they're not at the championship level. It doesn't matter how well they're performing right now; they're still not
It's
at the
true.
championship level. They still don't have that depth. Yeah, it's great to see. It's great to see Robert Williams playing well. Obviously, it's always great to see Peyton Pritchard playing well. You're going to be getting Marcus Smart back probably within the next few weeks here. Uh, that's great, but that's not going to win you a championship. Danny Ainge still needs to do something. And one thing that worries me too is I think it was last week he was on Toucher and Rich, I believe, on 98.5 The Sports Hub, and he said that they might not use the huge trade exception that they have until the offseason. All right, I can understand. Usually during the offseason, that's when the bigger names move, and that's when you might be able to get a bigger name player. But still, I don't want to see Danny Ainge. I don't want to see Danny Ainge keep kicking this down the road and kicking this down the road. That'll be really annoying.
Yeah.
And speaking of Danny Ainge, I think you have to put some of the blame on him for how this team has been playing, because the reason why they don't have that depth is because Danny Ainge built a team without depth. That's why. Danny Ainge is the one that makes the roster choices. And actually, uh, uh, I don't remember who tweeted this. NBA reporter tweeted this, that there was an interview that um, somebody did with Jackie McMullen and someone else, that they actually said that it's possible that if the Celtics continue underperforming this season, that Danny Ainge might be on the hot seat. And this is the first time an actual
Wow.
reputable reporter has. I mean, they weren't confirming anything. They weren't saying like there was reports or anything. They were just saying that it's a possibility.
Wow.
And that's the
Yeah.
first time we've heard an actual reputable reporter say that that Danny Ainge might actually be on the hot seat. And this is the first time in years. I mean, last time they won a championship was 13 years ago. 2008 was the last time they won the NBA championship. And don't get me wrong, Danny Ainge is a great general manager, but at this point, you haven't won a championship in 13 years. You've only made it to the NBA Finals twice in 13 years. It's it you 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 got to start putting some pressure on him. And the only thing that worries me about that is possibly, I mean, yeah, maybe you get rid of him, you get kind of a culture change, but there's so many bad GMs in the league. Who are you gonna get to fill his shoes? I mean, I'm just a little worried about possibly who would come after Danny Ainge.
True. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's really interesting to hear, I think. Um, Danny Ainge being on the hot seat. Wow. And yeah, you bring the team to the finals twice in 13 years. For a lot of franchises, I think that would be pretty good, and those GMs might get praised. But of course, this is Boston. This is the Celtics, one of the historically great teams. That's not very Boston-like, right? So
Yeah. I mean, this high standards in Boston. End of story right there. There's always going to be high standards in Boston, and you always want to. There's always going to be the desire to win championships, and that's what Boston fans always expect. And especially when you see a team like the Celtics right now, that for the past 4 years, I want to say, yeah, 4 or 5 years, they've been a good team. That they haven't necessarily been a uh, contending team all the past four. Actually, 4 years ago is when they got roughly 4 years ago is when they got as Kyrie Irving. So yeah, no, they've been contending team. They've been a championship contending team for 4 years now, and you need to have that sort of when you're a championship contending team and you haven't made to the finals once, then that's not the greatest thing. And like I said, I put a good amount of this blame on Danny Ainge right now because he hasn't built a championship level team. But I want to talk about too. I mean, it's a champ. They should be a championship level team right now in the Eastern Conference. They're sitting at fourth. They have a 18-17 record. They're just over 500, and they're
isn't
fourth.
that wild?
It's
Yeah.
crazy. They're fourth in the Eastern Conference standings.
Yeah, with a 500 level record, like you
Yeah.
just said, just over 500, 18 and 17, and they're fourth in the East. I mean, are there any championship level teams in the East besides the top three? I think it's a good question at this point. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, let's go down the standings here. Besides the
Yeah,
top three, the 76ers are 23 and 12, great record. Nets are 23 and 13, great record. Bucks 21 and 14, decent record. Then you get
not
into the
bad.
Celtics, 18 and 17 at fourth. Raptors 17 and 17 at fifth. Knicks 18 and 18 at sixth, and the Heat are 17 and 18. And then to throw in the Hornets at eighth, 16 and 18. So the
Yeah,
majority of the playoff teams right now are sitting one game above 500 or at 500 or under, which is crazy.
it is
Like,
wild.
now, my question for you, Matt, do you think that's more of a matter of the East being super competitive or the
Hmm.
East being filled with just not very good teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think the East this year is certainly more competitive than it has been in years prior, maybe in the last five
Yeah.
years. Thinking back to when it was just LeBron and the Cavs, and that was like it, you
Yeah.
know. But yeah, I mean, I see some improved teams. Obviously, Charlotte. This is the closest they've been to the playoffs in ages,
Yep.
if my
It
memory
is.
serves correct. Same with New York. I mean, the Knicks, they got Julius Randle going off.
Yep.
Finally, RJ Barrett in his sophomore year, playing a lot better. And Toronto, I mean, they're always a solid team with Nick Nurse coaching them, some decent
Yep.
depth. Uh, I think it is really that competitive right now, at least for a playoff spot.
Yeah.
Are any of the teams outside the top three like championship worthy? No, but not at all.
No.
But I certainly don't think any of the teams that are in the playoffs right now suck by any means.
Yeah.
I mean, even the ones outside, Indiana is ninth. I think they're a decent team. Sabonis and Brogdon have been having decent years.
Hmm.
Outside of that, maybe Chicago and Atlanta only have a good player or two, but I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's super close for some reason. You can make
Now,
an argument for all these teams.
exactly. Here's the thing, though. Obviously, it's obviously competitive because you have one, two, three, four, five teams all in competition from the fourth seed to the eighth seed, all in competition. They could all end up all rearranged. They're all pretty much have the same record.
They do, yeah.
So obviously it's competitive, but are they just meh teams? It's a competitive Eastern Conference, makes it exciting to watch the standings, but they're all kind of not very good teams. Do
I
you
think
think
they're okay.
now? My question is, do you think it's a matter of they're facing so many good teams that they're not that great, or that their records aren't that great, or do you think it's because they're just all meh teams? Because you can have a not a great record because you've been facing so many good teams in your
Yeah,
conference. I feel like it's less of that because I mean, look at the Celtics. The Celtics are sitting at 18 and 17 right now, and in fourth place, and they've had some absolute stinkers of games. So I think it's more
true. I
of
hear
these
that.
teams, the Celtics, Raptors, Knicks, Heat, and Hornets, aren't that great. They're just middle of the road teams that are just lucky that it's a weird year in the NBA.
I'm kind of with you on that. Like I was saying, I think these are okay teams.
Hmm.
I think they're decent teams. Certainly, some of them are playoff worthy. Um, that certainly none of them are championship again. Like
Yeah.
that's out the window. But I think you look at any other year, a lot of these teams are playoff teams. I could see Boston and Toronto, these current teams, any year making it. Um, and yeah, I guess the way the East has been, I could see Charlotte still fighting for a playoff spot any other year too.
Yeah.
But that maybe that shows they're not um, actually that great. Maybe the East is still kind of bad. It's
Yeah. The
getting there
weaker
though.
conference. Yeah, they are.
It's
But
getting there.
I will say though, you look down the standings. The Celtics and the Raptors, out of those 5 teams that are kind of battling for those middle spots. Um, the Celtics and the Raptors, though, are the 2 teams that I can see at some point turning it on and actually locking themselves into the 3rd seed. I mean, I can see the Celtics and the
See my
Raptors even
yeah,
possibly getting lucky and moving up to the 3rd seed, going up to the Bucks, maybe even the 2 seed getting to the Nets because they have the experience that both the Celtics
yeah.
and the Raptors do right now. They have the talent,
I see
and they've done it
Miami
before.
too. Not to
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, not to, butt in there, but I mean, this was the Eastern Conference champions last year, the Miami
Exactly.
Heat, and their team is still pretty similar to what it was. I mean,
Yep.
don't be surprised if they turn it on too.
Yeah, I think if anything, the Knicks and the Hornets are definitely going to be out. Are definitely probably going to be down lower by the end of the season. If they're not going to make it very far in the playoffs. But I can see, like I said, the Celtics, Raptors, and maybe the Heat being the ones to, even if they stay where they are in the standings, being the ones to actually make a run
Right.
because they have the experience, somewhat have the experience to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, they if we're talking, yeah, any teams left outside the top 3 that could maybe start competing with them, I think it would
Yeah.
be those teams. Obviously, we've talked about the Celtics, their roster or at least their starters are pretty damn good,
Yes.
pretty stacked. So that on paper looks like championship team possibly, but then you start thinking of their depth and yeah, it goes down a
Exactly.
rabbit hole.
Exactly.
But
It's a possible championship winning starting 5. Beyond that,
yeah,
not so much.
right. So yeah, who knows if they get hot? I mean, they're starting to get hot right now, I guess. If
Yeah.
Kemba keeps up and if just a couple of the bench players keep up, hey,
Yeah.
maybe watch out for the Celtics. Don't want to jinx it though.
Exactly. Right now, the Celtics are 5 games behind first. They are 3 games behind third. So, I mean, they have a chance to move up, move down, and so they do have a chance in the playoffs. And one thing that I'm noticing too in the standings is a lot of the teams that are doing well have all stars. I mean, obviously the 76ers have Joel Embiid.
True.
Nets don't even have to talk about the Nets all stars. The Bucks obviously have Giannis. Celtics have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Obviously, Kemba Walker isn't an all star, but he's normally an all star. The Raptors have
They
Kyle
have no one
Lowry.
actually.
Oh yeah, you're right. They don't have. Yeah, you're right. I
That's
mean,
that's
well,
the one shocker in there.
yeah.
But
Here's the thing. I mean, the Raptors have like arguable all star in Kyle Lowry.
right.
He's normally an all star player. The Knicks have what's his name?
Randall.
Thank you, Julius Randle. The Heat have Jimmy Butler, and then I know the Hornets don't really have. Actually, is Gordon Hayward a All Star this year?
Nah, not
No,
this
okay.
year.
He got
Nope.
he got kind of close. I'm pretty sure, but
Yeah.
I mean the Hornets have 2 pretty good players. That's a big thing that you're noticing here is that at least in the East is that and this is a normal thing for the NBA that the top teams are the teams that have the star power a lot of the
Mhm.
times.
It's
And
true.
let's so I want to talk about the All-Star break. I mean, these a lot of these players are in the All-Star break. It's not really an All-Star break. It's not the same as the last few seasons. It's really just All-Star weekend. How do you feel about the NBA holding an All-Star Sunday night?
Oh, well, it's an interesting decision this year, COVID year, obviously.
Yeah,
As a fan, I love me a good All-Star game, but don't know if it's necessary this season. I mean, I think you agree with me on that.
I
A
couldn't
lot would.
I couldn't agree more. It feels like it's just the NBA trying to get a cash grab because
Mhm.
they've had multiple games postponed because of COVID. And yes, I mean, throughout the country, you're seeing that COVID cases are going down. But um, like I said, you've seen plenty of teams and games being postponed because of COVID situations. Is this really the league's smartest idea to be holding an all-star break where everybody's coming together from the different teams that aren't normally together that it could possibly spread? Obviously, we don't know if it's going to spread or not.
Mm. Yeah.
It might not. But is this really the smartest? Is this really their smartest move? Like I said, it feels like a cash grab to me that they're just looking to get some money because you get those TV sponsorships. I'm sure. I think they're holding Atlanta, so I'm guessing. I could be wrong here. There might be some fans in the audience. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, no, it's not the smartest move. I mean, it's one thing when you have um, full rosters from two separate cities facing each other in a normal
Yeah.
game, but now you're taking 1 to 2 players from all a bunch of cities,
Hmm.
really, and just putting them all on the same court at the same time together. It, I mean, I'm sure they have good testing in place, like good COVID
For sure.
testing to make it happen. But still, that's a lot of different people from a lot of different places, certain parts of the countries that are safe, ones that are not.
Yeah.
So this certainly it sounds like it has the potential to go worse than just any regular season game when you just got obviously two cities playing
For
each
sure.
other. This
Yep.
is this is people from all over the place. I don't know.
Hmm. And I'm pretty sure the NBA announced that during this All Star weekend, uh, players that like aren't in the All Stars, or if even if they are, they're actually going to be allowed to travel wherever they want if they want
Oh,
to with their
nice.
families.
That too.
So
That too.
yeah, so I feel like this
Genius.
this yeah this isn't the greatest idea for the NBA
Wouldn't
to
be
be
shocked
doing
if
this.
like a couple teams just aren't playing when after the break
Yeah,
because of that.
I wouldn't be surprised either. But it's happening either way, and let's talk about um the game a little bit. So it's gonna be
Yeah,
Team
yeah.
LeBron versus Team KD, and this is actually gonna lead us into our bets of the week. And this will be a bet. Who do we think is gonna win, Team LeBron or Team KD?
Oh, well, the easy choice is Team LeBron. And,
Yeah.
since you've had good luck with the bets, I'll go ahead and take them
You
before you
know,
do.
you know what I need to start. I need to stop letting you pick first. Obviously,
Yeah,
I mean it's working to my advantage
it
letting you
works
pick
here and there.
first because I mean look at it. This is only my second time losing the bet, and you always are the one picking first. I pick
Yeah.
second.
Yep.
Um, so I mean I'm doing pretty good, but yeah, no, I'd be pretty confident with Team KD. I mean, yeah, KD's not playing, but I think
That's, yeah,
I'm not
that's a
full.
big thing.
We're trying to figure out the how the draft works. I don't know how the NBA draft works. I'm not gonna lie. The NBA All Star draft works, but that's not important. I think KD can draft a good enough roster
Yeah.
to beat LeBron. I think Team LeBron won last year. Um,
I think so.
yeah, Team LeBron definitely won last year. I remember I put some money on it, and Team LeBron won. I was pretty hyped about that. But that draft is actually happening tonight, and I think I think Team KD can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly is still 50-50. I mean,
Exactly.
each team is just full of each team is stacked. They're full of all-stars.
Let
Literally, it's the all-star game.
Yeah.
So, this is a fine bet. I would have been fine with taking team KD, excuse me,
Yeah.
because even without KD, that team could still have last year's captain Giannis, from the
Exactly.
East as well. However, they're doing that
Yeah.
again, East
Yeah.
versus West. But yeah, I like obviously Team LeBron. LeBron is the best player of the last 20 years, so good odds there. But I could see either team winning any All Star game.
I mean, let's be real here. At the end of the day, the All Star game is just a crapshoot because I
It
mean,
is really.
you can't really bet like super like smart. You know what I mean?
No, you can't.
Because like you said, it's no matter what, you don't know how they're gonna play. Like they don't really try all that much. Like both teams are gonna put up 150 points most likely,
Right,
and so
right.
like at the end of the day, you don't. I don't know. It doesn't really matter all that much who's going to win, who's going to lose. So one team could have an 100% a worse roster. Like you could look on paper and be like, oh, this team has the worst roster. At the All Star break, they can end up winning because
It
the other
could.
team just doesn't try. You
Yeah, it
know,
doesn't play
that's just how it works.
defense.
That's just how it works.
Could see it
But
even more this year. Players just not trying because they think
yep,
it's a dumb idea.
yeah.
You
But
know.
I will say, speaking of it, real quick, we only have a couple minutes here. Um, Last year they had a great concept, and they actually bring that concept back this year. Is that I don't fully have it, but it's every quarter the score resets, and the winner of each quarter, their team wins a certain amount of money for their charity.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that gives each team kind of a little more incentive to actually play well. And then I think when it comes down to the fourth quarter, um, the winner of the fourth quarter ends up winning the game. I'm pretty sure. I don't don't fully remember how it works, but I remember last year I watched it. It was actually at the end it got super exciting. The first 3 quarters were normal NBA All-Star game excitement level, but the last quarter was great. It came down, everybody was cheering. It came down to like a buzzer beater or something like that. So
Yeah.
it can be exciting, and I think the new format that they came up with last year made it awesome. So
Yeah.
I mean, it could be exciting. I mean, I know I'm gonna watch it. I always watch it. Um, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna enjoy it no matter what. I'm gonna be hoping obviously that Team KD wins, so I don't have to wear this Robe of Shame again and get you back into the losers column.
Yep, it won't be too hard putting me back there. I don't think it's kind of where I live.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty much where you live. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But that's actually gonna do it for us this week, guys. We thank you as always so much for joining us. Like I always say, make sure to follow us. Make sure to continue listening to us. Make sure to share this as well if you can. It'd be great for us. Help us out, and make sure to give us some feedback if you guys like what we're doing. If you think there's anything we can improve on, let us know. We always love doing this. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good weekend.